Hello everyone and welcome to Sound of the Day with me, Mark Hanson Audio. Today I've basically created an instrument using my BCF2000, which is this thing down here, basically my control surface with the faders on it. I'm going to let you listen to the sounds that I've created and then we'll talk through the process of how I created them. So let's go. Okay, so as you can see there, the faders were moving around quite a lot. So basically what I want to do is create an instrument from the BCF2000 and use the faders as an alternative to playing a piano. So basically rather than playing a piano and hitting the notes, I could move the faders in and notes just come in organically and I can control their volumes in real time as I go. So let's talk through the process of how I did this. So the fundamental part is on each of these tracks here, these 8 tracks, and the reason I chose 8 is because that is how many channels I have on my control surface. On each of these tracks is a signal generator. So whatever DAW you've got will have a signal generator of some type. And basically what I've done is set the frequencies of these signal generators to notes of a chromatic scale. So for clarity, I've put them down here in the comments section. So I've got an A at 220 Hz, A sharp 233 Hz, blah, 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 all the way along to my 8th channel, which is an E note at 329 Hz. If you wonder where I got these, just Google notes of the scale, or like musical notes frequency, and you'll see where I got these from. So yeah, all these signal generators generating some sort of note. So if I do this, that's an A note at 220 Hz. So from there, I started to apply lots of different effects to things to make it a more evolving sound. So if I tell you what, I'll mute some of the effects I've put on. And there's my basic note. So very static. So simple stuff. I put on a delay on each track. So you can see all the delay sends here. There is a reverb and there is a chorus ensemble, basically like a multi-chorus. And I've just put a bit of send of those on each track, just kind of random amounts, just to make sure it's not all the same all the time. So that gives the whole thing a bit more movement. Okay, and from there what I've done is I've routed the output of the 8 signal generator tracks and my delay, reverb and chorus aux tracks and routed them all through a bus I've called effects into this track here, which the input of which is effects. And from here I have yet more effects. So basically what I've done is stick a guitar rig on here and chose a random preset. So this has tons of more effects, and don't worry if you don't have this. The whole point of this this tutorial here is to show that you can do this technique with any type of effects you've got. I've basically put this one on because there's tons of effects in it and it will really mess up the sound. So let's hear it now. Cool, and likewise I could change that to, I don't know, let's say some guitar amp thing. Much louder. So basically just, I'm using this as a multi-effects unit and messing around with the different presets to get some sounds that I liked. So the one I had on was vocal filter delay. Very nice. It's a combination of like compression, reverbs, delays and filters, all sorts of fun stuff. From there, to give the whole sound a bit of movement, I've used this plugin, which is the filter gate, which comes default with Pro Tools. So let's kind of bypass that and then turn it on so you can see the difference it makes. So basically you use this to, the kind of gate basically chops and mutes the sound or pans the sound to some sort of rhythmic degree, but with that rhythm being defined by what you've got up here. So let's choose quite an extreme example just to show it working. So you can see all sorts of different sounds, and it gives the whole thing a sense of movement. So the one I had was evolving texture, and I had the mix set to around 75, I think. Or whatever you think sounds good. Really cool. So after that in the chain, I just threw on a limiter just to make sure to try and catch any peaks, because when you're doing this, it's quite easy to put too much oomph into things and cause some distortion. And then I just had some drum tracks, and then I basically sent the drums and the output of my effects, so basically the sound, that sound, into a pre-master channel with a magnetic on it, just to kind of glue things together, a bit of light compression. But here is the crux of the coolness of this effect. So when I have pressed the stop button, which I have done now, and listen to this track, we look at our signal generator and you can see that it's generating a sine wave. So what I did to kind of add a bit of variety is I came through to my automation, to my signal generators, and did this. So this might look horrendous, but basically what it is I've set up each track with some automation that basically, I'll mute those drums now. I've basically set it up with automation that automatically switches between different waveforms. And when you combine this with reverb and the delay, the change in wave is not obvious. Like it doesn't completely take over and sound unnatural because you've got the reverb and the delay to kind of glue it together a little bit. So the way I did this was I chose a nice fast grid, or a nice fast change speed with the grid mode, set at 16th notes, and then I chose random, and then basically I drew in some automation like this. And Pro Tools can go a bit slow when you do this because you're trying to draw lots of black lines and it gets a bit angry. And you're drawing notes and it'll create some random stuff for you. It's worth noting when you do this, if you draw from the bottom all the way up to the top, it will include the pink noise and white noise. So if I go to this, I'll show you what I mean. So our signal generator can do sine, square, sawtooth, triangle, white noise, and pink noise. I didn't want any white noise and pink noise in it, so when I drew my automation here, I don't know if you can see, it says triangle on the screen. So it's switching between triangle, white noise, and pink noise on my screen there. And if I choose triangle as the top one, that's the fourth one here, it means I'm not going to get any accidental pink noise or white noise, like for example there. There we go. Awesome. So when I press play, the drums come back in. And you can see that we're randomly switching between these different these waveforms, and that gives us again that evolving, ever-changing sound. So I hope you try and replicate something like this because it's a lot of fun. It is a million times easier if you have a control surface. But you could do it with literally just kind of just dragging your faders up and down with your mouse if you wanted, but it's much easier with a control surface. So you can imagine the possibilities for stuff like this. I say there's a million different effects you can apply to this. I literally chose this guitar rig plugin. Is just kind of at random. Try a million different things and I'm sure you'll create cool sounds. And of course, if you've got a bigger control surface, you can have more than 8 channels. Since I just did a chromatic scale here, the little melody I played you at the beginning, I didn't use a couple of the notes. So what I would probably do is find the notes that I didn't use, like the A sharp, and replace that with another note I would use, maybe even an A that's up an octave or something like that. So you've got a scale to work with, and all of your faders are going to be harmonically related in a pleasing way. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please experiment with this kind of thing if you can. Please like, rate, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. My name is Mark Anderson Audio. Adios.